by the war. A fundamental shift in attitudes towards disabled people occurred. For now.
The second part in this trilogy of programmes questions whether the welfare state made life better for Britain's disabled community. That's next Thursday at 9:50 here on BBC Two.
Within the heart of America's college system,
Hey, nice to meet you.
there exists a world of secret rituals.
There's no men allowed on any of those floors, and the whole structure is alcohol-free.
And intense allegiances.
I've always wanted a sister, and now I have more than I can count.
They're gonna tell you they drink more beer. Awesome, drink more beer, dude.
One day these girls and boys will rule America.
Hey, you know, we bag all the brides.
But right now it's time to go Greek. Under the Sun, Tuesday at 9:30 on BBC Two.
This is BBC Two. Now a party election broadcast by the Liberal Democrats.
Good evening and welcome to news from the Liberal Democrats. In tonight's programme, Liberal Democrats lead the fight to bring sleazy European commissioners to account, and how European money lets the train take the strain for Midlands commuters. The Liberal Democrats this week pledged to bring Europe's bureaucrats under control. It was largely because of pressure from the Liberal Democrat group in the European Parliament that the entire European Commission had to resign earlier this year.
Europe's officials play an important role. They promote free trade, creating large numbers of British jobs over the last few years. They fight pollution and international crime. The problem is that the top officials, the commissioners, don't have to account for themselves enough. And there's strong evidence that some of them have turned a blind eye to fraud. One abused her position by finding a high-paid post for her dentist. In the European Parliament, the commissioners tried to shrug off the row. The Tories typically split down the middle. The Socialists stalled. Each had allies on the Commission who were under suspicion. Only the European Liberal Democrats, the ELDR, consistently supported a tough line against fraud and mismanagement.
For Europe, in good faith and in good conscience, the ELDR believes this Commission should go. My group shall vote for censure.
Now the Liberal Democrats are arguing for the European Parliament to have a power it lacks at the moment, the right to sack individual commissioners if they fall down on the job.
The Parliament's got to have much more control over the Commission. Commissioners should not be allowed to abuse power the way in which they've done in the past. Europe's got to be much more open and accountable. We are pro-Europe, but we're clear about its limits and we're firm about its failings.
A new call's been made to improve the plight of Britain's pensioners. British pensioners like Margaret Andrew are far poorer than senior citizens in France, Germany, Holland or even Italy. Under first the Tories and now Labour, pensioners over 80 have got only 25 pence extra a week. The figure's been the same for 28 years. Now, the Liberal Democrats have proposed an extra £5 on the pension for the over 80s and an extra £3 for the over 75s. Latest figures show that Britain spends less on its railways than most other European countries. Austria, for instance, invests 4 times as much. Meanwhile, forecasters say traffic here could increase by as much as 50% in the next 20 years, choking city centres and polluting the atmosphere.
For a long time, there were no passenger trains running on this line in the East Midlands. Now, as part of an £80 million regeneration scheme, The European Union has helped finance it to be reopened. For local people, a 40-minute road journey is cut to 10 minutes on the train.
Driving in is difficult, frustrating, and this is very easy, and it helps, and it's why I use the train now rather than my own car.
The Liberal Democrats say they'll be pressing the EU to back more initiatives of this kind. Labour, they claim, haven't done nearly enough to improve our railways.
Under Conservative and now Labour governments, rail and bus services have just got worse. That's why Liberal Democrats are campaigning to make them better. We want the British government to invest more, and we want them to regulate them more tightly. And it's the same in Europe. New investment in rail and bus services from the European Union and tighter regulations to cut traffic pollution.
On June the 10th, voters go to the polls for the first ever nationwide fair votes election.
This time, every single vote in every single region is going to count. And the more votes the Liberal Democrats get, the more say we're going to have for better hospitals, for better schools in Britain, and the more we'll be able to create a Europe which is more open, more democratic, more accountable, but above all, closer to the people.
And that's all from this edition of News from the Liberal Democrats. Good night.
On the 10th of June, support the Liberal Democrats.
That was a party election broadcast by the Liberal Democrats. Kay Adams opens the doors to the viewing room where a panel of viewers discusses BBC sitcoms, docu-soaps and sport. That's in 45 minutes. Now on BBC Two, Newsnight.
The UN prosecutor tells us why she's charged Slobodan Milosevic with war crimes. Dr. Henry Kissinger unpicks the shortcomings of the new moral foreign policy. Good evening. In the latest manifestation of the new moral world order, Slobodan Milosevic and 4 other Serbs have been charged as war criminals for crimes against humanity. I'll be asking the UN War Crimes prosecutor whether she's a political pawn of NATO, and Henry Kissinger will lay out the shortcomings of this new high-mindedness. Also tonight, this young man thought buying private health insurance meant you got treated when and where you wanted. It didn't quite turn out like that.
Hi, guys.
And watch out if Paddy Ashdown comes canvassing near you.
Uh-oh!
Don't worry, Captain Ashdown rose to the moment. This is a moral conflict, ours is a moral cause. The values of decency and democracy must win. Tony Blair's comments tonight were the clearest statement yet of the way that he and Bill Clinton see the war in Serbia. He said the aim was a democratic Serbia free from Milosevic. Completely coincidentally, she says, the UN's war crimes investigator announced today that Mr. Milosevic and 4 other senior Serbs have been charged with war crimes. First tonight, David Sells examines whether it really is coincidence.
A blow for justice, and by charging a serving head of state with war crimes, legal history is made, all at a price. For the indictment itself wickedly queers the pitch of those seeking a diplomatic solution to the war, a very political outcome, though the crimes themselves have cried out from television screens the world over. At the Hague Tribunal today, the chief prosecutor called for Yugoslavia's president to be put in the dock.
On May 22nd, I presented an indictment for confirmation against Slobodan Milosevic and 4 others, charging them with crimes against humanity, specifically murder, deportation, and persecution, and with violations of the laws and customs of war.
15, I repeat, 15 bodies clustered together. It looks like they were all shot trying to escape. Over.
Milosevic and 4 lieutenants stand accused of criminal responsibility for the expulsion of 740,000 Kosovo Albanians from the province, and also for 340 attested murders. Quite what evidence exists to link President Milosevic with such alleged crimes, we do not know. He was accused today, however, of personally ordering and planning them. And here is the dilemma for The Hague itself: how not